Welcome to this edition of Head to Head. I'm your host, Cam McKinney, and this is episode number 243 of the podcast. And on this episode, I'm talking about the future of Tom Brady. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers went 8-9 during the regular season and won their division by default, and then got blown out by the Dallas Cowboys on Super Wildcard Weekend. And usually no one would care and we would all move on. But that's not the case because their quarterback is Tom Brady, a man who has won 7 Super Bowl titles and is widely recognized as the greatest quarterback to ever play the position. Brady's stats in the regular season were still better than most quarterbacks. He threw 25 touchdowns and only 9 interceptions, but by his standard, it was still a down season. It was the first time he finished with a losing record. The big question right now is, should Tom Brady play next season or should he retire? And I can see the arguments from both sides of whether he should play or retire. The biggest argument you can make why he should still play is it seems like this is how he ends things with teams. In 2019 with the Patriots, he looked normal at times and not super into it. A year later, he's a Super Bowl champion. He's a man who's been counted out time and time again and has proven everyone wrong. He's played the quarterback position at elite level into his 40s, and he can obviously still make the playoffs in today's NFL, and in those clutch games, he still routinely comes up big and leads his team to victory. That's the thing about Brady right now, is he can still win those kind of games, those still games that you can rely on him to come up big when the game is close. The issue is keeping the game close, and he needs other pieces around him to do that. But in the fourth quarter, in a one-possession game, the quarterback I still want most with the ball in his hand is Tom Brady. He's a proven commodity. I mean, those first 3 Super Bowls he won were basically on game-winning drives. Nobody else in the NFL has a resume of game-winning drives. Not even Patrick Mahomes, not even Joe Burrow, not Russell Wilson. None of the quarterbacks you think of that highly have had that game-winning drives. So right now, yes, I don't believe Tom Brady will ever be an MVP award winner again. I don't think he'll ever throw 40 touchdowns, maybe even 30. But if you have a close game, again, there is nobody I would rather want on the football field than Tom Brady. And that should count for something. I mean, I feel like in today's NFL, it's all about the stats. It's all about getting the 35 touchdowns or 4,000 passing yards. I think Brady can do something that no other quarterback can do, and that's come back in close games consistently. That's what he can add to your team. Now, if you're a great team who has struggled in those positions with your other quarterbacks, then I think you should be interested in bringing in a guy like Tom Brady, because he's never going to be the reason your team loses, and again, he's usually going to be the reason they come back. There's also several arguments as to why he should not play. He's done everything there is to do in the sport. He's won Super Bowls, he's won MVPs, he has every record known to man. You don't want to overstay your welcome. Although I hear this argument all the time, but does it really affect one's legacy? Michael Jordan played with the Wizards after playing with the Chicago Bulls in the NBA, and no one cared. Joe Montana finished his career with the Chiefs. No one cared. The last year of Brett Favre was not great, but they are still considered all-time great athletes. Yes, it's sad seeing your favorite athletes age and decline, but we get over it quickly as a fan base. Like, nobody is really suffering if Tom Brady overstays his welcome by a few years, and I would even argue he's earned it. I think Tom Brady has earned the right to end his football career whenever he wants. And I'll admit, he looked bad in that game against the Dallas Cowboys, but he has not been consistently bad over time, and that's when I think is the time to go. He can still be a guy who, again, threw for 25 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. That's better than most quarterbacks in today's NFL. So I don't really buy that argument. The thing that annoys me the most is the year by year of it all. And I feel like Brett Favre is the one who started it by retiring and then unretiring. It's annoying, and you're seeing some of the same nonsense from Aaron Rodgers. Play or don't play, just don't make it a big deal every time. Some people think one of the reasons Brady came back last season was because ESPN ruined his perfect retirement. I think if Tom Brady is chasing chasing the perfect ending to his football career, then I think he has it all wrong. He's already had the perfect football career. One more great game isn't going to change things. I don't buy this argument that he needs to end his career on the perfect note, that he needs to end it by winning a Super Bowl, because if that was the case, he should have retired immediately after winning the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I've heard people say it over and over again. He can't leave the league with a bad game, and I don't think it matters. Michael Jordan hit a game winner to win the NBA Finals against the Utah Jazz, retired, then came back to play with the Wizards. He's still the greatest basketball player ever, and Brady is still the best football player. What his final game in the NFL looks like. Yes, it would be super cool if Tom Brady ends up winning one more Super Bowl and then calling it a career. I just think chasing that is the wrong way to look. For me, I feel like it's just a case of a guy having a hard time of giving up the thing that has given him so much, and I feel like that's super relatable. Why would he want to retire? He was a late-round draft pick who became a superstar quarterback and the face of the NFL. Easy to give up to replace that in your life. That's not going to be easy for Tom Brady, so I can totally understand why he doesn't want to give up his NFL career, even though he's already done anything you can do in the NFL. I think we should all notice that this isn't going to be an easy transition for Tom Brady, and even with the retirement thing, I don't think anybody thought that was going to last, because this is a guy who clearly still wants to play football. Or at least he did last year. I mean, I have no idea what his mindset is going to be this year. Again, I'm just a little tired of the I'm going to think about things. This is just the end of the season. I think you need to be more straightforward with the teams right now. I don't want to go through every year thinking, is Tom Brady going to retire? Is Aaron Rodgers going to be a Packer? Is he going to retire? I think the year-to-year thing is very annoying when it comes to the future of quarterbacks, and I blame Brett Favre for creating this world where quarterbacks think of it as a year-to-year. In the case of Tom Brady, I understand he's in his 40s and it literally is a year-to-year thing. He just doesn't need to make a big deal of it like he's making it. I think he's putting pressure on himself to come back and play football, because if you're just going to retire again, I feel like he's thinking too much about it from the publicity side of things. It's going to be okay if you retire. I know he retired the first time and it was such a big deal. He didn't mention the Patriots. He probably didn't like what was happening around the media with his retirement thing, and that might be part of the reason as to why he came back again. A lot of people thought that this was how it was going to play out anyway, that he didn't want to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer all year long, so maybe Brady is finally getting what he wants right now. He doesn't want to be a member of the Buccaneers. I mean, they just moved on from Byron Leftwich, his offensive coordinator, who he was clearly close with, so maybe the Brady to Buccaneers era is ending, and that's what Brady wants to move on from. Maybe Brady just wants to move on from the Buccaneers and not the NFL altogether. So where exactly should Tom Brady go? And I think the place that most people think he's interested in going is the San Francisco 49ers. That's the team he grew up watching. He was a big Joe Montana fan. I understand that. What I don't understand is why would the San Francisco 49ers want him? Kyle Shanahan has proven he can win with any quarterback. Now, maybe he can't win the big one. We'll see if he can win the big one with Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy, but he's been to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. He's had success with quarterbacks. He doesn't need to overpay Tom Brady. Now, if he can get Tom Brady on a team-friendly contract, then go ahead and do it. But if Tom Brady is going to come to the 49ers and say, give me $25 million, I don't think that's a good investment for the team. Now, maybe if they lose a playoff game by a lot and they're a quarterback away, then there's going to be pressure for them to get Tom Brady. I mean, they still have the Trey Lance situation. I have no idea who's going to be the quarterback for the 49ers next season. If they win the Super Bowl, it's going to be Brock Purdy no matter what. I think we all think that the perfect ending to Brady's career would be go play for his homegrown team, win a Super Bowl, and then call it quits. I just don't think that that's a reality that's ever going to take place. And it's weird to say this out loud, but I think Tom Brady would want that way more than the San Francisco 49ers would want. Another team that has been linked to Brady all year long and for years now is the Las Vegas Raiders, and this is mostly because of who their head coach is, Josh McDaniels. He was the longtime offensive coordinator for Tom Brady, most famously during his best season in 2007 when Brady threw for over 50 touchdowns and had that incredible MVP season. At the moment, McDaniels is without a long-term answer at the quarterback position. He has Derek Carr, but he benched him in the final few games and instead played another former Patriots quarterback, Jarrett Stidham. So what's going on with the Raiders, I have no idea. Is Tom Brady the answer for that team? Well, one of the biggest reasons Brady would want to go there is because of Davante Adams, arguably the best receiver in all of football. There's enough weapons on that team. They also could have Josh Jacobs at running back. I mean, that team could be special on offense if you add Tom Brady to the mix. I'm just not sure that that team is a Brady away from winning a Super Bowl. And I really do look at Josh McDaniels as somebody who needs to draft his own young quarterback. I mean, he had a lot of success with Mac Jones when he was a rookie and McDaniels was his offensive coordinator. I think that's the route that McDaniels should go. Draft a young quarterback and turn him into a star. Getting Tom Brady does not give you long-term answers. Drafting your own player and developing him and turning him into a star, that's what keeps you as the long-term head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. That's the route I think the Raiders are going to go before they bring in Tom Brady. Because Brady played 2 decades with the New England Patriots, they'll always be linked to the quarterback. There has been some speculation that he could return to the team. Now, that team is in flux right now. They don't know who the offensive coordinator is. Maybe it's going to be Bill O'Brien, who was once Brady's offensive coordinator. Devin McCourty, interestingly, this weekend said on CBS that he would return to the Patriots if Brady came back. Now, that's a lot to unpack there. I mean, a current Patriot saying that he would come back and not retire if Brady came back is wild, considering that they have a young quarterback in Mac Jones. But I want to stick to the Tom Brady of it all, because that would basically be Bill Belichick, of all people, admitting he was wrong from moving on from Tom Brady. I mean, if you thought Tom Brady was going to be over when he was like 44 and he left the team, if you bring him back and he's 46, how bad do you look? Coach Belichick is already taking a beating for what happened with Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, and now he's going to reverse that. That's one thing he's getting bashed for. Now he's going to bring back Tom Brady. I think that's a lot to happen in one offseason, and I don't see that happening. That's a thing that will be, I'll believe it when I see it type of thing. Tom Brady, I believe, is never going to play for the Patriots again, and I think really has no interest in doing so. He probably doesn't want to work with Belichick again. That relationship probably isn't perfect right now. And I truly believe this. I don't think Bill Belichick wants a star quarterback. I think he was annoyed by the fact that Tom Brady became one of the biggest faces in the NFL and that he became the face of that Patriots dynasty. He didn't like the whole it was him or nothing, and now that really is the perception that it was all because of Tom Brady, and bringing him back would signify that it really all was Tom Brady. As a Patriots fan, I'm not really sure how well that would go. I mean, they would really have to develop the roster more. I mean, he's not going to win with this current roster. Yes, you have a good tight end in Hunter Henry, you have Kendrick Bourne, you have Jacoby Myers if you end up signing him, but these aren't great weapons for Brady. There's no Gronk, there's no Edelman, and if you were watching that Dallas game, this is a guy who doesn't like to be hit, and the Patriots had a terrible offensive line last season. If this actually ends up happening, it will all be because of Robert Kraft, that relationship, because Brady really does view him as a father figure. Now, if they were to mend fences, it would be because of Robert Kraft, but again, I could not see Tom Brady ending his career in a Patriots uniform. Maybe at the end of it, he'll sign like a one-day contract and end it with the Patriots, but for now, there's no way he's going to play another season with the New England Patriots. One of the things that annoys me about Brady right now and where he should be is this idea that somebody with 7 Super Bowl rings is ring chasing. If he goes to the Jets and turns around a bad team, it's entirely different than if he joins a stacked team like the 49ers and is just there for the ride. This is a guy who won with the New England Patriots, who at the time was not the team that they are now, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's his legacy, turning teams into winners, not joining teams that instantly become winners. Now, I believe he would be joining the 49ers for sentimental reasons, but it would also be looked at as him ring chasing. He would want that 8th championship ring. Now, I believe he does want that, but I also believe he wants to be a big part of that. But if it ends up happening with the 49ers, he would basically be getting zero credit for that Super Bowl. The same way that Peyton Manning didn't get a lot of credit when the Denver Broncos won. And I don't want that for Tom Brady. I love the fact that every Super Bowl he won, he was a massive part of that team winning. That is his legacy. All 7 Super Bowls, he was a big part of the team winning. He's a 5-time Super Bowl MVP, for crying out loud. This should not be a guy who is chasing rings. If anything, a guy like Aaron Rodgers should be looking for chasing rings so he could up his legacy and become a guy who has more than 1 Super Bowl ring. I would understand that from Aaron Rodgers. I don't get it from Tom Brady. I don't think he needs to end his career with a Super Bowl title. I think the fact that he is even a functional quarterback at this point speaks for itself, that he's been able to do something that no one else has been able to do in the sport of football. He won a Super Bowl in his 40s with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's the last Super Bowl he needs. He also proved that he could win a Super Bowl without Bill Belichick, and Belichick has yet to prove that he can win without Tom Brady. Brady won that argument. Brady won the Belichick versus Brady discussion. He doesn't need another Super Bowl. I understand his obsession with winning, but I also think that he should want to be a part of the team winning, not just there for the ride. That's what I don't want to see from Tom Brady. I don't want to see him end his career being just another guy who is there while the 49ers win a Super Bowl, because that's not the Tom Brady I grew up watching. The Tom Brady I grew up watching was the reason that the team won the Super Bowl in the first place. Now, I think if he wants to get credit for winning, I think he needs to go to a team like the Jets, because the Jets have an excellent defense. They were terrible on offense last season. Now, that would pain New England Patriots fans, but could you imagine if Tom Brady wins a Super Bowl with the New York Jets? He might just instantly overtake Joe Namath as the best quarterback in franchise history. And think about this. Bill Belichick once was the Jets head coach for a day. Think about how badly that would irk Belichick if Brady ended his career with a Super Bowl victory as a member of the New York Jets. I think that should be the ending that would be enticing for Brady's career. Not to be just another guy on the San Francisco 49ers, who right now are stacked. They have Christian McCaffrey. They have loaded offensive weapons. Brady would get absolutely no credit for winning a Super Bowl with the 49ers. Now, he would be looked at as the reason the New York Jets won a Super Bowl, because that is a team that is really good on defense but doesn't have a lot going on the offensive side of the ball. At least it's viewed that way. Now, if Brady does end up calling it a career, he will be joining the broadcast booth with Fox, joining Kevin Burkhardt. Brady signed a massive $300 million contract to be the voice of Fox football. I mean, I think that would be interesting. I don't know how well Tom Brady would be on TV. I think there's a case to be made that he would be too critical towards the other quarterbacks in the league. I also think that that could be wildly entertaining. There is a chance he could be super boring and not have anything really interesting to say because he doesn't want to make a commotion. I'm interested to see what Tom Brady would be like in the booth. It might be what happened with Tony Romo. Remember when Tony Romo first joined CBS and we were like, he's the greatest announcer in the history of the sport. He's predicting what's happening. And now Romo is thought of as a guy who talks too much. We love to love guys when they first start the job, and then we start to razz on them. And I think that would happen with Tom Brady as well. But at the same time, he's Tom Brady. I mean, there's never been a bigger name part of a broadcast booth in the history of sports. This is the greatest player in the history of football becoming a broadcaster. We're not used to seeing something like this. So no matter what, if he stays and plays next year or he goes and joins the broadcast booth, Brady is going to be a pivotal pivotal figure in the sport of football next season, and I think that's a good thing. I'm sure some people are tired of his act, but it's good for the sport to have a face like Tom Brady be a part of it. He's no longer the face of the league like he was for so many years, but he's still a huge part of the sport. When you think of the NFL, one of the first names you think of is Tom Brady, and we are all interested in his future in the sport for a reason. He's been a pivotal part of the history of football. He's won 7 Super Bowls. He's had an insanely, wildly good career, and I think it might be over, but we just don't know right now. I'm interested to see what Tom Brady does from here. Thanks for listening to this edition of Head to Head. I'm Cam McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every Monday on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, so please rate, review, and subscribe.